Hey, what's up, guys? Mike Dean.
Jermaine Ellis.
With the Rideshare Show, brand new show coming at you. And before we get started on telling you about what we're going to do, we're going to talk about ourselves so you guys get familiar with who we are. So, Jermaine, you want to kick it off?
All right, I'm Jermaine Ellis. I am a vlogger on YouTube. I live in San Francisco Bay Area, and if you guys follow me on YouTube, you know that I talk about the sharing economy. I try out different apps, Uber Eats, Postmates, the list goes on and on and on.
Jermaine is all over the place. I mean, like almost literally global, definitely in the United States, and he's about to be heading where?
Well, getting ready to go to Asia really soon, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Son of a... And I can't go because I've got too much stuff. Well, tell us a little bit more about what you sort of do and stuff. Or
well, pretty much what I do is I like to try out apps and to, sign up for an app and just give my experience and take a camera with me and, tell you guys about how it goes throughout the day. For example, Uber Eats. Uber Eats is so much different from Caviar, and if someone is out there and they are looking to join the sharing economy, that's where they come to me. They can come to my channel, they can learn about Uber Eats, Postmates, Caviar, and I can give them more of an insight. And
give a shout out. What's your channel, just so everybody knows?
Oh, my channel is Jermaine Ellis. Links will be in the description below. And come on, I want to know more about you, Mike.
He already knows about me because we hang out like so much. Mike Dean with the Rideshare Report. Again, a link will be in the description. Started up that vlog. There's a website as well, building resources. I'm the first rideshare driver, so Sidecar was actually the first rideshare allowing peeps like you and I to get in our car and like pick up people, drop them off, and a whole bunch of other stuff, And I just happened to be the first. No fortune and definitely no fame. Not a big deal, but I've been doing it for a long time and I've learned a hell of a lot. My main stuff has always been Uber, Lyft, and of course Sidecar. And just recently, I got on the Jermaine Ellis game, which is doing some food stuff, which I discovered is definitely an option that freaking drivers should be having. I'm doing DoorDash, Postmates, Caviar, and Uber Eats. I've added those to the menu of food delivery services on top of UberX and of course Lyft. But that's pretty much what I've been doing. I'm also a certified online marketer. I used to work with small businesses. That's really have been my passion and love, is to help small businesses succeed, get online, get some online presence. I was doing that for a long time. Photography. I was a photographer for the mayor of Oakland for about 2 years. I did some web stuff with her as well. It's too bad she didn't get back. She didn't get reelected, because then I could have said, well, you see, my photography really worked. Oh my God, when that actually happened, dude, I know, I was about to go rolling out and like, see, my photography, the mayor got reelected, and because it did its job. But it did its job. And it was really designed to show her, which, as like a person, like as someone in the community, which she was. In fact, it was my idea, and I approached her, Mayor Jean Quan, and her daughter, and said, you're out there in the public, in the communities. You should be, depicted as, during being engaged. Of course, like I said, it wasn't enough to get her reelected, but it was a great experience, and I had reignited with photography, video, and everything just kind of moved over to using all those skills and stuff to do this. Jermaine and I hooked up several years ago. Our paths had crossed. In fact, in the city here in San Francisco, the last time our paths crossed was where?
In New York.
Freaking New York City, right? Places. So, what did you go out there for?
Well, I was out there just vlogging and hanging out with friends and, stuff like that.
The life, guys. You just get on a freaking plane and travel somewhere, and like, do you stay at like hostels or Airbnbs? What's your deal?
I stay at hostels, I stay at Airbnbs, I stay with subscribers, I stay with friends, I stay all over the place.
I mean, that's pretty lovely. I'm actually about to start city hopping and you know, maybe traveling abroad for, you know, a week or two, just to kind of get out of Dodge.
The Bay.
Get out of the Bay, just get out of everybody's way and getting everybody out of my damn way, you know? Just kind of, we got to do that. You know, you definitely got to take time and disappear. In fact, I do that a lot here in San Francisco. You know, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of places that get lost. You know, like I'll take a drive down the coast, you know, I'll explore the coast. There's just so much, and in fact, it's very healthy for you as a driver. And a lot of times when I'm driving for like 6-7 hours a day, or 2 or 3, I do a pit stop and just kind of give myself a break and go somewhere and chill. And right now we're actually at a really cool location.
Oh, yeah.
You know, near the Golden Gate Bridge. And sometimes I would come up this way and just kind of take a walk, take a break, kind of just decompress.
Yes.
I mean, what's your deal when you're in the car all freaking day?
Well, yesterday I had this delivery. I picked up a delivery in downtown, and it went all the way to the Bayview neighborhood. And the Bayview neighborhood is a neighborhood that I don't really go to that much, and it's a really unique neighborhood. It's very healing, and it has all these different.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, nobody goes to Bayview. Hello, if you peeps out there, anybody from the San Francisco surrounding Bay Area, no, you know, I ain't judging, but you don't want to be up in the Bayview / Hunters Point, though. However, up in the Bayview Hills. And it's pretty shabby up there. Yeah. But guess what? That's some pretty valuable real estate, if you ask me. Because it's got a view of the water, and you can see a lot. But sadly, strangely enough, it's like so underdeveloped. It's almost like the developers are waiting, you know, for something to expire so they can come in and grab the land, rebuild it, and extend pretty much San Francisco down to that area.
I agree.
And, you know, that's when I'll buy my $2 million condo overlooking the damn water. Not, you know?
I agree, because just the whole area there is like, it's I mean, I don't know. It's so nice. I love it.
There's a lot of room. In fact, I know someone who works in immigration law. She was actually processing working visas for the people, the developers and workers who are going to be redeveloping the, not necessarily Hunters Point area. It's kind of like a key that kind of goes out. It's like a whole, you know, section out there. Any case, you guys don't know what we're talking about, and unless you're from the area. But
yeah, so I was at Hunters Point / Bayview, and you know, I was on top of this big hill, and I saw this park, and I said, hey, this is the perfect spot to get out of the car, to move around, to, you know, fly my drone. That's what I did. Flew my drone for a little bit. And yeah, I took a little 30-minute break, and when I was done, I just got back in the car and drove back down the hill, and I was ready to go back online. So that's one thing I really like about, you know, working in the sharing economy. You have all this flexibility, and if you want to stop somewhere, you can stop, like here.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, you know, but you know something? I think it's an advantage, but it's also a disadvantage.
Of course.
I think, you know, you have to use it for what it is.
Yeah.
If you're using it for like a career and a lifelong, you know, sort of income thing, I think you're losing out on a lot of other opportunities in your life. I think it serves its purpose, and it's there, you know, to provide you with that type of freedom to earn income. You can take care of your families, you know, you can still see your kids, you know, you could take courses and classes, you can still, like, you know, move forward in life and not get too caught up into the whole job thing by having this type of flexible income. But you know I've been doing this since, oh wait a second, that doesn't even make any sense, because I've been doing this since 2011. So I haven't done anything different. But actually I have, because, you know, I used it for that. I was able to, you know, be available for my kids. And then I started taking courses in digital media, marketing, and online marketing, social media, et cetera, et cetera. So it definitely had its value. And from there, I kind of integrated that into kind of building the Rideshare report and kind of started to do video stuff. And that's exactly, and you know, and also earning additional income through like referral bonuses and things like that, something that we'll talk about in the future. Definitely encourage you guys to look into that. But yeah, it definitely has its value, but I think if we get stuck in it, you know, I think we can get frustrated.
Yeah.
You know, so you definitely got to have a passion You know, do something that you're passionate about in your life, and that actually works. You know, regardless of what type of work you have. That's what's going to make you whistle Dixie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if you're mopping floors and cleaning toilets, you got to do something you love, guys.
I mean, one thing I really love to do, and I'm actually like excited to wake up every morning, is I really like making videos. It's a lot of fun. I like going out shooting B-roll. I like flying drones, and it's like I don't exactly know what I want to do, but I'm doing what I love right now. And
well, I mean, from what I can see, it's definitely paying off. And you know, it's like, you know, when you do what you love, this is the fear that people actually have, right? When you know you're afraid in some cases to do what you love because it may not actually pay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what? You know, it's like, you know, you knit sweaters, you love it, you know, whatever it is that you do, but it's not like a job, so it doesn't. You don't have that sense of security. And sometimes people put that down and they forget about it, and it's really, you should be putting your passions before just about anything. Granted, we got to work, we got to make the money. You know what I'm saying? But never, ever, ever put down your passion and what you love. And like in your case, as well as my own, the money comes. I mean, the money does come. You know, but you just can't put down your love of whatever it is that you do, and that makes you feel good about yourself down. And don't worry about the money. Just do it. You know, just do it and have fun.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's not all about the money. You know, sometimes you have to just go out there and do what you want, because if you focus on the money, and when you're not making that money 3 months or 6 months down the road, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna stop. You know, you're gonna stop, and like I said, don't focus on the money. Just be happy.
Yeah, just be happy, and being happy is doing something you love for sure.
Now that's totally different from, you know, going out driving Uber. You know, you still got to make money.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, you got to put your hustle on in anything.
I mean, I didn't say go get a camera and go take Instagram photos like all day, every day. You know, you got to be realistic here.
I mean, you know, and the Uber and Lyfts and the DoorDashes and all that stuff, and the sharing economy, whatever it is, it you know, like I say, it really does have its benefits. I mean, I got to tell you that a lot of times that I drive, I'm not driving for the money. I drive because it's actually therapeutic. Like when I get in the car, it's like, you know, I don't know if you guys out there have any kids or anything like that, but you know, sometimes when you got a baby, you know what I used to do with my son? I swear to God, like 3 in the morning, he's freaking crying and waking up like the world.
You want to go drive for Uber?
Right. Well, no, not really. I wasn't driving for Uber, but you know what I do? I take him, put him in my car, and take a freaking ride around the block 10 times, out cold. So it's kind of like,
that's
for
brilliant.
me, right now, I don't fall asleep when I'm driving my passengers around. But there's something similar to where it kind of like chills me out. I mean, well, of course, there's a balance between chilling out and like dumb drivers that are out there that could, turn you into a road rage monster. You know what I'm saying?
Because you're going for a ride, and rides are cool. You're going somewhere.
You're going somewhere. You're moving. You know, you're sightseeing, sort of.
It's effortless. You're sitting down.
Yeah, and then you're engaging with people. So you're engaging with people.
You see stuff along the way.
Yeah.
Talk to people.
And most of the time, riders are pretty cool.
You might get cut off by a car every once in a while. You might have to use your
more than once in a while in San Francisco.
Yeah, it might be me. You know.
Yeah. So, but in any case, getting back to the Rideshare Show, what's it about? We're going to do commentaries. We'll be talking about things that are going on in the industry, current events. There's going to be like a lot of stuff, almost like I don't know. We'll be having interviews. We'll most likely be going on road trips, and we'll be doing mobile commentaries as well, just kind of moving around, or at the same time that we're moving around.
Live streams.
Yeah. We'll be talking about all the greatness and wonderful stuff that goes on in the industry, but we're also going to get real and talking about some of the challenges. We'll be talking about the T&Cs themselves, you know, how we feel about them, and we definitely want you as the audience to engage. You guys got to share, like, love, you know, all of that.
Comment down below.
And because we want to know. In fact, actually, before I forget, we'll also be doing what? We'll be doing some live streaming interviews. So, you know, whether it's kind of Google Talk or Skyping or whatever, we just want to have you guys be a part of it. And we may most likely also do offer the Rideshare Show Facebook page. Perhaps we'll be doing some live stuff as well. So, you know, there's a lot. and we're still trying to figure it out. But pretty much. This is going to be a segment, an episode per week.
Yeah, episode per week. Every Sunday?
Every Sunday, guys, look forward to seeing it every Sunday, either in the morning or afternoon, or whenever our editing guy gets the work done.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll edit it today.
Yeah.
I'll get it out.
Like I said, we'll have guests in the car. It's going to be pretty freaking interesting. All right, so we're on a clock time here. We're going to move on to the second segment of this episode 1. It sounds like
this is fun. We're in the second
episode
segment.
1. It sounds a little like Star Wars almost.
I know. we're going to the stars, man.
Okay, so guys, so let's move on. Okay, we're going to talk about the history today. So thanks, by the way, for hearing us out on our introduction. And segment 2 of today's episode, we're gonna there'll be 3. Okay. We'll talk about the history of the industry and where we think it's going to be heading in the future, etc. But all right, you want to start it off with kind of industry history, yours, or just pretty much what you experienced and what you know.
Okay, so what I'll talk about is this right here. I'll talk about my experience of just how I seen the sharing economy for the first time and just what I noticed. Mm-hmm. So this is what happened. I just moved to San Francisco about 3 years ago, and I was walking down the street and I saw this pink mustache on a car driving down the street. And the first thing I wondered was, okay, that's a little weird. Maybe it's like breast cancer or something like that.
That's what I thought.
And then I just kept seeing them everywhere. And I'm like, this is really weird. And I noticed that whenever I saw a car, I would see someone on the front seat, and it would just look like that they're having a blast,
Oh my God, remember the whole fist bump thing? Let's do a fist bump. Oh my God, that was like the corniest.
That was Lyft back in the day.
My God.
And I just couldn't figure it out. So I went to Google it, like pink mustache on car. And back then, I really wasn't getting anything popping up. So I just didn't know. And then, I was out at a bar and I, overheard some people talking. Oh, yeah. I made, $2,500 driving for Lyft. And I was like, $2,500 driving for Lyft? And then that's when I figured it out. Oh,
Is that what someone told you they earned back? What year was this?
No, I was at a bar and I overheard another.
How long ago was that? What year was that?
This was about 3 years ago.
Yes, folks. For some of those who might be new to the industry, or for some of you old timers out there, not necessarily old like in age like myself, but the money was like kick.
It was crazy.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
Anytime you want to drive. I mean, I remember that I used to just, go, I want to go make 200. Mm-hmm. That's it. Anytime during the day, right? And I would just get out, turn on my phone, and I'm talking about 200 net on Uber in like 3 hours, 4 hours.
I remember on a Tuesday.
4 hours, regular fares, no specials, whatever.
Oh my gosh. We don't even want to. I remember when Uber did this deal where they would only take 5% commission out.
Yes.
And I would make
back in March 2013.
I would make $400 on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
On a Tuesday, the slowest day of the week. But okay, let's get back to the Lyft story. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, this whole Lyft thing is crazy. So one day I'm starting this job and I need to get halfway on the other side of town. And I'm looking for a taxi, and in San Francisco, taxis, they're just far and few. When you need them, they're not around. So I say, look, let's download this Lyft app. I download the Lyft app. I requested a driver. This driver showed up maybe 5-7 minutes. He pulled up in a brand new 5 Series BMW. And I'm just like, all right, it's a little bit better than a taxi.
Yeah, hello.
And I get in, jump on the front seat, and there was like, this guy, he was just sitting back, just chilling, just like, yeah, what's up, man? Just riding around the city. And I'm like, dude, what's up with this Lyft thing? And he's like, oh yeah, it's a new car service, and I just started doing it. I just bought this car. And I was like, man, you just bought this car doing it? And yeah, and he dropped me off, and I tipped the guy, $10 or something. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The ride was back then that ride was like $25. It was kind of expensive, But today, that same ride would
Well,
be
it was still about at least 20% cheaper, at the minimum,
than a
20% cheaper than a taxi.
Yeah. And, you know, it was wait time. It was a lot of traffic. It was a lot of factors involved with that ride. But I was blown away my first time. And that was just Lyft. And then I remember, you know, Postmates was around, and I tried Postmates, and you know, I got over to Uber. And the first platform I signed up with was Sidecar. You know, I just moved to the city, and I was a little intimidated with driving in the city and with navigating myself around the city.
Wow.
So I said, let's do Sidecar, because with Sidecar you could see the pickup location and the drop-off location before you accept. And Sidecar wasn't so it wasn't so popular and intimidating like Uber and Lyft, especially Uber. So signed up with Sidecar, jammed out on Sidecar for a little bit, and then signed up with Lyft. You know, did that for a little bit, and then I figured out that, hey, my car actually qualifies for Uber. And that's when I started doing Uber. And when I started doing Uber, I loved doing Uber. And then I just went on and on from there.
Yeah. Well, let me give you guys a little insight into sort of like historical timeline on how things kind of got started. So first of all, Sidecar is officially the first rideshare, because rideshare pretty much embodies the idea, the concept that regular folks are picking up, you know, regular folks in their community and giving them a ride. Sidecar launched in 2012. Well, that's beta period. Officially in July of 2012. They started beta period rather in 2011. And let me tell you what happened, right? So I got this, we got 2 cars, family cars, right? And I'm like the stay-home dad, okay? It was great, sort of. But I got to tell you, women, damn, you kick it. I mean, a woman that stays home, let me tell you, it's more work to be a mom at home. And you guys think that your women ain't doing nothing because they ain't got an 8-hour job. Their job is 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
So get that through your heads, fellas.
It's a little bit easier.
Trust me, it's easier to go to work than it is to be a stay-home. In any case, I was a stay-home dad. It was a great experience, connected to my kids. So I got this Volkswagen Passat that I got because my wife was working, and I still needed to pick up my kids. She had the car, so I got a second car. And, you know, I pick up my kids, take them to school, karate, you know, go to all the school events. It was like freaking awesome. And then, you know, I'm taking courses in digital media, marketing, yada, yada. And I'm like, you know something? You know, I got this car that I'm moving back and forth. I'm parking it all the time, right? So I'm like, God, it would be great if I had this flexibility. It was really strange. This flexibility to like just get in the car and work it anytime I want, make some extra money. So I started to look online on Craigslist and all these places, and then bang, I come across this ad. You know what it said? Earn up to $400
a day.
On
a day.
A day.
Oh gosh.
Your car, your time. Your car, your time. And I was like, wow, this is definitely something that is appealing to me. My car, my time, $400. Make a long story short, I responded to the ad, went back and forth with this cat called Adrian Fortino. And then I ended up setting an appointment to head into San Francisco to go meet up with, you know, one of the CEOs or founders, Sunil Paul. And told me about the concept. Man, I was just juiced. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. This is the greatest idea I've ever heard. Believe it or not, I hadn't heard about Uber prior to that, because Uber was very low key, because Uber launched their driver on demand platform in 2009. And let me tell you, Uber, back in the day, all the vehicles were, they weren't considered rideshare because all the vehicles were commercialized. They were TCP, they were regulated. It was all self-regulated.
Suit and tie.
Suit and tie. The drivers had black cars. In fact, all the drivers were already pre-existing limousine drivers.
I mean,
you know,
you could actually make $100,000 back then.
Yeah. In fact, the cost for Uber Black, and it was called Uber Black. It actually started off as Uber Taxi.
Uber Black was so
Uber
expensive
Black,
back in the day.
It was about 60% more than a taxi. Okay, so they had a very small niche. They were only connecting, first of all, with people like high-end clientele or people that were already taking limo services and stuff like that, as well as, you know, some, you know, weekend folks who had some expendable money, but for the most part, folks weren't traveling solo, unless you really had bank. They would get like Friday and Saturday, they were getting groups together and they were going back and forth in the city with this new thing called, the Uber app,
And it really changed the city, because before that whole Uber app, getting a taxi to pick you up, out in the outer Richmond to go downtown.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just.
But
yeah.
it still wasn't that popular because it was so expensive. But the sidecar came along in 2011, and that's when they didn't launch, but that's when they began the beta. I happened to be the first driver to show up, to be interviewed by Sunil Paul, to meet Jonan Konan, who was the CTO. The CFO was what's his name? Doggone it. I'll get there in a second. Who actually started Shuttle for kids? The guy. Yeah.
I can't remember now.
In any case, so again, CEO Adrian Fantino was a founding partner. It was such a great concept. We're running this beta. In fact, there's actually features in the Sidecar app that I actually helped to conceptualize. If anybody is familiar with the Sidecar app and you ever used the radius feature, that was the way it's designed from top to bottom was written out, shared with Sunil Paul and the team, which was a very close-knit team, and they welcomed contributions. So I was always talking about stuff and contributing and talking about marketing and different ideas. But moving right along, Sidecar came. They launched July 12th of 2012, and then in August came Lyft, and then Uber. Meanwhile, was going, who are these freaking peeps? Because remember, all the drivers were regulated. Mm-hmm. And it was just like regular folks. I mean, I remember guys, they had like a two-seater pickup, 2 seats, okay? And I was like, there's some raggedy ass cars out on there. But, more cars than none were nice and cool. Mm-hmm. And then Uber, again, launched in September. But even those Uber X launched in September of 2012. But even those new Uber X drivers, they still were TCP'd. Uber was trying to maintain, sticking to regulations, which is a complete flip and turnaround compared to today.
Yeah, they were a different company back then.
They're a completely different company. In fact, all the vehicles were that in order to become an Uber X driver during that short period of time.
They had to be black, right?
No. You had to be a hybrid, because Uber X meant any car, but it had to be a hybrid, and it had to be like a 2007 or newer or something like that.
Yeah, I think they had some deal with like, we're gonna put hybrids on the road to less pollution.
Okay, that wasn't the deal. The deal was that they were trying to get in while sticking as close to the regulations as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Because
the
taxis have to have hybrids. I think all of them, if I'm not mistaken. They phase it all out. Any taxi that comes in, any taxi vehicle on the road has to be a hybrid.
That's been for like at least 3 or 4 years.
I think longer than that.
Yeah,
I think that because the taxis were doing that, for pollution and environmental reasons and stuff like that. But that's kind of like how it started, back in the day. In fact, Lyft was, before they were actually Lyft, they was Zimride. Mm-hmm. So if anybody's familiar with, and it's funny because what's his name? Zimmerman? Mm-hmm. What's his first name? John Zimmerman?
Yeah, John Zimmerman.
John Zimmerman, who's the CEO, and of course, slap me if I'm wrong with the name, forgive me. Everyone used to think that his name is named after, the Zimride is named after him. It's actually not. Do you know?
I thought it was named after.
Yeah, so did I. But do you know what it's named after? No. Zimbabwe. Because he got the idea of Zimride and Lyft while in Zimbabwe. Because in Zimbabwe, and in a lot of places across the globe, if you think about it, when you're traveling, you get this bus that's going from point A to point B, and everybody's getting on it, and they're basically people who have their own bus give rides.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah.
That's kind of like how he started coming up with the idea of Zimride. Sold Zimride to Hertz. Can't remember who I think I sold it to Enterprise or Hertz.
I can't remember.
And then stuck to Lyft, but that's pretty much how the industry was pretty much born. Sidecar Didn't last, unfortunately. They closed their doors and hit their brakes in, what was it, December 31st,
I don't think it
2015.
It wasn't that bad, though. They got bought out by GM.
No, they actually didn't get bought out.
Oh, they did?
They licensed their technology to General Motors. They closed shop. About 20 employees, some developers, etc., and the CTO, Johan Conan, went over. It was part of the package to General Motors in Detroit at Michigan State University, or the University of Michigan. I always get that mixed up. Where, believe it or not, the original founders of Sidecar graduated from. So the original application for Sidecar, before Sunil Paul, who founded them, these two guys, Adrian Fratino and Johan Conan, they were creating an app for public transportation for the buses so that you can track the buses in real time. Really simple. And the idea was to get it, to get it sold to municipalities, the companies, but it wasn't really scalable, and plus, city and state local government, they're like way behind.
They take them so long to do anything.
It's just a joke. I mean, it's like, techno,
tech moves so fast and governments move so slow.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, government has their place, in terms of, whatever. But, and I think that's one of the reasons these companies were able to survive, because they were coming out with this new concept.
So fast.
They, you had to actually create regulations to keep up with them. So you couldn't almost tell them to stop. In fact, when Sidecar launched, drivers were volunteers and riders were donors. That's how they kind of try to scoot around it. It was like, sure.
I remember that. I remember giving a ride to a guy. I picked up this guy in the marina and I drove him, I want to say, to Dublin. It was an hour-long drive.
Mm-hmm.
I picked him up at like 8 a.m. in the morning, rush hour. Drove him all the way there. As soon as he got out of the car, I checked the thing to see, how much he left. Because on Sidecar, there's an option where, you take a ride and it'll show $20. But the person, if they wanted to, they can actually take it all the way down to zero and make it free for them.
I fought Sidecar on their website. Do you know what it said?
What?
It said, pay what you want.
Oh, yeah.
Get a ride anytime, pay what you want. I was like,
bad idea.
Don't do that. Bad idea. And Sidecar would just, I don't know if it was desperado, but believe it or not, that was, and Lyft did the same thing.
Yeah, I remember Lyft
did the same thing. In fact, the Lyft app is a direct copycat of the Sidecar app.
Yeah.
Okay, literally. But getting back to Sidecar and selling, before we move on, so they sold it to General Motors. Guys, watch out for GM and a company called Maven. And we'll talk about that in another episode in our segment. In any case, let's move on. Let's talk about the future of the industry.
Future? Whoa.
Yeah.
How do you want to dive into this one? Because there's
a
lot we can talk about here.
Do you think these TNCs are driving their platforms off the cliff? Or do you think they're going to be driving them into success in the future? I mean, there's a lot going on. And we were talking about the future. This is what really trips me out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. News comes out, Uber is launching autonomous vehicles in Pittsburgh. Drivers start actually crying. I've seen a driver actually shed tears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my God, I can't believe this is over.
Yeah.
We're being replaced by these robots and autonomous. Shut up!
I've seen it too.
It's
too.
like,
people
come
are
on,
freaking out. People are like, we're not gonna have a job.
Yeah, we're not gonna have a job. We're being replaced. It's like,
it doesn't work that fast. No, it's not gonna happen tomorrow.
Well, really? Because according to John Zimmerman, tomorrow it's going to happen. In fact,
get ready. You're not gonna have a job.
He's made some statements where, and he actually said that regular cars, don't take this verbatim, but regular cars will be against the law at some point. Okay, just that statement alone. And I could get that a little miscued, so I just want to put a disclaimer out there.
I
don't have that. We'll talk about it in the future, but I don't have that particular article.
I can see where he's going with that.
I can see him going nowhere. You know where that's going? That's going into the investors' pockets to encourage them to put more money in there, as far as I'm concerned. Now, all this
Cars are gonna be illegal.
all this hoopla and all of this freaking, autonomous vehicle thing. Just how Uber just drops a car in Pittsburgh, drops one in San Francisco, and then they got kicked out.
And then it runs a red light.
It runs a red light.
times.
And then they get kicked out, and then where do they go? Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona.
Phoenix or somewhere in Arizona.
You can't even hit anyone in Arizona.
Right. The only thing you can hit is what? A tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Actually, Arizona is have you been there?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's like a freaking really nice place.
Yeah.
And you know something? When it's hot, it's actually tolerable. It's better than being than in New York, where the humidity will like put you unconscious.
I got a crazy story. I got stuck in a snowstorm in Arizona. Wait,
I'm sorry. Wait.
In the desert.
Okay, it's every day. It's like 90 degrees in Arizona. So don't listen to this guy.
No.
It doesn't snow in Arizona.
This was New Year's Eve.
What does New Year's have to do with the snowstorm when it's 90 degrees every day in Arizona?
Well, it wasn't 90 degrees that day. It was
okay. So you can actually go skiing, and you can go skiing in Arizona.
Yeah.
In the Camelback Mountains, they have skiing. No, further up, Flagstaff.
Yeah, no, Flagstaff on the 40. Flagstaff is really hot.
And I think that's also like there's a military base.
And that's why I got caught. It was off the 40.
Yeah, you can see, dude, if you're standing on the flats and you're in 90 degrees weather, you can actually see the snow sky. You can see. Okay, I got you right. Woo. You can see the snow caps. Lift bump. Welcome to my Lyft ride. You can actually see.
Thanks for the water, man.
Yeah, I know. Like, thanks for the champagne, the vodka, and all that other good stuff.
The weed cookies.
Oh my God! Back in the day, okay, we're going on a tangent here.
Yeah.
But getting back to the snow caps, you can see the snow caps while you're standing in 90 degrees weather in Flagstaff. It's freaky. Only in Arizona, perhaps, and maybe some parts of Japan.
Yeah.
So getting back to the future.
Future of the industry.
Okay. So. We're going to wrap this up in a few minutes, guys, but we definitely want to talk about the future and just assure you, especially you guys that are drivers, that your being a rideshare driver is not in jeopardy. If anyone is actually in jeopardy, it's the rideshare companies themselves. Mm-hmm. They are running on like less than a half a tank, less than a quarter tank of gas. They're running on fumes. And while there's all this excitement and this talking about $70 billion valuation, and Uber is just like is it? You got to really spend a lot of time more than reading the headlines to really understand the dynamics of the industry and what truly can potentially happen. And for the most part, what I see, and I don't know if you agree, is that the main value that Uber, for example, will get out of all of this is
data
for the investors. But yes, for the most part.
Yeah.
But yes, you're definitely right. Data is more valuable than a ride. So losing money on rides is not that big of a deal because it helps you to build more people, and people do what? They give you more what? More money through more data. And data is a big part of it. People sleep on that.
And there's so many other things they can do with data. They can take that data and sell it to cities. And
you can sell it out. You can monetize it. In fact, I think they even began that process in Boston. They were talking about, selling.
They haven't started doing it here in San Francisco?
Not yet. It could get a little tricky, but, you could probably sell anything to Ed Lee, the mayor.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, they haven't already sold
there's no point in even, asking for a tax for the city anyway, right? Because, wait a second. Is there any connection to Ed Lee and Uber?
Yeah, it must be.
There's an indirect connection.
It must be.
Because Uber's a rideshare,
yeah.
And so is Lyft. That's it. Ed Lee's daughter sits on the board for Lyft.
Oh, yeah, I've actually heard about this.
So it helps to have people that are connected to the industries and high places. You want to put them on the board everywhere you can possibly put them. And if you think about what's going on in Chicago, what's Emmanuel something is the mayor. Well, his brother, okay, these guys wanted fingerprints. Like, they weren't taking no for an answer. No. And that happens in just about every state, doesn't it?
Yeah, they
so which is getting back to the future of the industry. The TNCs were getting their way. And it seems like the tables are sort of turning, and in fact, it's happening globally. Spain and the UK, they're starting to say, hey, first of all, you got to have regulations. You got to do it our way. Basically, Uber got kicked out of China. So, while it's all looking, it's a huge market. And while all these things are looking great, if now, I've been studying the industry. As you know, I'm kind of more of a freak when it comes to this than a driver, actually. And I spent a lot of time. Every day, I'm reading 4 or 5 articles. Both Jermaine and I are doing more than driving and working and doing our thing. I'm passionate about it. I'm interested about it. I'm obsessive compulsive. I'm reading 4 or 5 articles, and sometimes it's the same damn article to see the same damn spin. But getting back to the future
Just
again,
to see if you see something different.
We got challenges. The autonomous vehicle, the future. It ain't going to happen anytime soon. We're looking at about 15, 20 years before it even begins the process of replacing. Okay. Not to mention that Uber and Lyft, I'm pretty confident they're going to have more of a challenge than launching their own autonomous vehicle, replacing drivers, than the companies that already actually create the vehicles. Don't you think?
Yeah.
You tell me if I'm wrong.
No.
Don't you think it's easier for Ford or Tesla to create the app and have autonomous vehicles going out there picking up people than both Uber and Lyft buying cars?
Yes. Well, Tesla has already started this. Tesla's already put in their new contracts for their Tesla cars that you cannot use it for rideshare.
That's correct.
That's because Tesla's going to have their own rideshare program.
That's right. In fact, it's already called the Tesla network.
And I think other car companies are going to do it too. It's not just Tesla.
In fact, I think the first one to look out for, the first 2 probably on the list,
GM and Ford.
General Motors for sure, because General Motors has sidecars, patent, license to the patent technology.
And GM also has their hand in Lyft's cookie
They got
pot too.
right. So they're working together, and GM could turn around actually. That patent, that license, it's got featured. Sidecar was way ahead of both Uber and Lyft combined when it comes to the technology. They had features in that they're just still coming out with. I'm not going to get into it. We'll talk about that in another show. But it's a list of features. They were way freaking ahead. It was an awesome
tipping in the app, for crying out loud.
Well, of course, that goes without saying. But, feature-wise, we had carpooling already set up. We had real-time ETA. We had the destination filter was in there, way ahead. We had this thing, which is now like you'll get a request where you have a rider in the car. You'll get a request while to pick up a rider near your current rider's drop-off point.
Oh yeah.
Whatever they call that. That was done. Sidecar 6 years ago.
Yeah, I remember Sidecar did that.
It was just phenomenal what they had.
Back-to-back rides, basically.
Back-to-back rides, yes, thank you. So Sidecar had this great feature, real-time ETA, right? And then you would the rider would share to social media, Facebook or Twitter, their sort of location, while they're in the ride, to kind of post it up. It was kind of like a marketing little thing too. And then you'd actually be able to see the freaking car moving on the map that got posted up and on social media.
Yeah, Twitter or Facebook.
On Twitter or Facebook. It was freaking awesome. I think there's some privacy issues with that. Of course, maybe somebody complained that, now my wife can see where I'm going and I got busted or something like that. So I think you got to be careful with that. They pulled that down, but that was actually an idea of mine for marketing purposes. Is I told them straight off the back, the first thing you should be able to do is to share. Like a rider should be able to share the app or whatever to social media.
Oh, and that way they're telling all their friends, hey, I'm with Sidecar. Yeah. You should sign up with Sidecar.
But in any case, so Sidecar, like I said, is way ahead in technology. Now, General Motors has a piece of them, and I think we're going to be looking at Maven as being the next rideshare. Now, Maven is already out. They're kind of like what?
They're really
a get around.
small.
They're kind of like a get around and a zip car combined. So you can actually rent a General Motors vehicle
for like an hour for $8 or something?
Starting off at $8 an hour.
Yeah.
I think it goes to $24 an hour for like a Cadillac or something like that.
Yeah, like an Escalade. You can rent an Escalade if you want.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think also that do you know the Maven program with Uber? You can rent a car.
Really?
So Uber, yes, Lyft is doing with Maven, is connected with GM, and now Uber. Now that kind of freaked me out because I'm like,
Uber's the big dog.
I thought that Lyft and GM were boys. You know, and all of a sudden, if you go down to the Uber support center, there's a flyer out there for new drivers. They can rent a car. It's free, 75 rides, and a 90% acceptance rate, and you can go pick up a vehicle through the Maven program. So they're already starting to kind of filter things out, you know. But I think they're going to launch, you know, to be a rideshare company soon.
Yeah, GM. Yeah.
So I was saying GM and who else? I took Google might be around the corner. Okay, so I set up my app, right? My Waze app, my Waze app for carpooling, where I could actually give rides. And one day I'm downtown, I'm going across to Oakland. I decided to put it on, not thinking that I would get a request. And I got one. It was the freakiest thing, dude.
And this was on Waze?
This is on Waze. I got a request from a potential rider. Now, they don't have a meter system per se, but they do. And it's only 54 cents per minute. So they can't, because they're not regulated and all that stuff. They can't charge. So you only get.
So technically, you don't. That's not really making money.
No,
that's carpool.
It's carpool. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, but it was really a freaky experience to like follow the app in Waze, just like I was doing on like Lyft or Uber. It was freaky. But I think this is what we're looking at in the future. And again, we'll be talking more about the future, what's going on in the industry, and the rideshare companies and everything else. But I think that's about it, Jermaine. I think thanks for sticking around. We appreciate it. We hope you enjoy the first episode.
Yeah, many more episodes to come.
Many more episodes to come once a week. Roughly, we'll be keeping it, to a decent time. Hopefully, you guys will be entertained. We'll be having guests. We'll be having questions and cars, and it's like the Tonight Show, but it's the Rideshare Show.
Yeah, for the Rideshare folks.
In any case,
I think,
Fist bump! Fist bump. Guys, we're out. Drive safe, ride safe, be safe, have fun.
Yeah, remember who loves you.
And remember who loves you. Wait, that's my thing.
Another day, another dollar.
There you go. That's right. Guys, remember, Uber on, Lyft off, and remember who loves you. Mike Dean.
Jermaine Ellis.
Peace, y'all.